Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another of our Lunch and Learn episodes. I'm Paul Stanier from PS Tech, your IT experts. In fact, we're not just your IT experts anymore. We've just received a prestigious award of the best IT experts in the Southeast for 2023. So we're pretty pleased about that. Congratulations to all of our team at the office who worked really hard, diligently to provide the level of service that we do. And it's nice to be recognised for that. So the topic of our Lunch and Learn this month is all about VoIP. So what is VoIP? Well, to start with, it's an acronym. It stands for Voice over Internet Protocol. And in short, VoIP is a collective set of technologies that enable voice conversations over internet-connected networks, as opposed to voice over our mobile service or over a analog phone line, twisted copper phone line. Now, many businesses, which is the focus of our Lunch and Learns, are using VoIP already, but there are still a huge number that need to migrate to this type of phone system. In fact, even at home, if we want to continue to have a home phone line with a home phone number in the future, we're going to need to migrate our home phone service to VoIP as well. Why is that? Well, we're going to dive into a presentation where we're going to look at some of the benefits of VoIP and how they can really improve business efficiency, customer experience, and in turn, probably most importantly for business owners, profit, but also how it affects us as well at home. So I'm going to share some slides with you. Let me just do that now. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, that looks like that's sharing nicely. Good. So what I want to talk about first of all is something called the BT switch off. Now, we've talked about this for a couple of years now. Openreach announced a few years back that they intend to switch off the traditional copper analog phone network at the end of 2025. Now, this network is commonly referred to as the PSTN switch off. Telecoms is full of acronyms. PSTN is the public switched telephone network. So your home phone, or if you've got a traditional phone in the office, that will be a PSTN service. Now, while the end of 2025 does sound like a long way off, from the 5th of September, so just a few weeks' time this year, you will not be able to purchase any new ISDN or PSTN-based services. What that means is phone lines with a telephone number and a dial tone, and also broadband that sits on top of that phone line with a telephone number. So if you're moving office or moving home, or you're looking to change supplier, from next month, things will be a little bit different. So what does this mean for you and your business? Well, from the 5th of September, all your current services will continue to function. So there's no need to panic, but you won't be able to modify them, add any additional services, analog services onto the line or broadband that rely on that. And then at the end of 2025, they will all be switched off. Now, if you want to know about how this is going to affect you as a business or personally, we recommend just get in touch with us and we'll be able to review your situation, what you've got now, and what advise you further. What is the solution? Well, Openreach and the government are pushing us towards a migration to digital IP services, both at home and for business. So let's look at some of the benefits then that we can leverage for our businesses from a digital IP or cloud-based VoIP telephone system. Whether it is you're yet to make that switch, or maybe you already have a solution, but you want to get the best or most from it. In fact, on that last point, unfortunately, we see so many companies who have bought VoIP services already from some of the big providers, some of those that have big TV advertising budgets. But all they can do on those systems is make and receive calls, and only just at that. There's been no customization, no thought to workflow, no efficiencies, super long, expensive contracts, and to top it off, unhelpful support. Yes, the phones are big and shiny, but the service or the system is just not fit for purpose. So these days, VoIP is a service that's hosted in the cloud, and the cloud means in the internet. And that means there's no box on your wall at the office or at home. It's a virtual thing in the cloud, something that's flexible and a scalable solution. And it enables you to start with just a small number of extensions or phones. So obviously at home, we'd be starting with one and probably sticking with that as well. But in a business environment, again, you could just start with one extension. And you can then expand that as the business grows or needs change for additional connections or phones to be connected to it. And unlike back in the days when we had a box on the wall in the office, where if you wanted an extra extension, you'd have to pay an engineer to come out, run a new wire. There'd be some expensive cost to reprogram the system. There'd be an ongoing expensive maintenance contract. Well, all that's gone now. And we're working very much on a subscription or SaaS model. Example, we had a call last week. In fact, let me just move on to the next slide. We had a call last week from one of our customers local to us in Sussex, and one of their sales guys was moving to Aberdeen in Scotland, and they wanted to know, well, how can he still keep taking and making calls on the phone system? And the answer was really simple. Let me show you. So on this slide here, what we're looking at here is a diagram of a simple VoIP system. So on the left-hand side here, we've got here Office A here, and you may have a second branch here, Office B, where you've got phones and computers as well. You may also have a mobile workforce who are out using their telephones through their mobile or through a laptop device. But all of these offices and all of these mobile workers are all connected to the internet. And the cloud system resides here inside the internet. So when you're making a call from your VoIP service, it carries over the internet to your VoIP service. And from there, at the moment, it breaks out onto what's called the PSTN, to another phone or to another mobile number. So this is really scalable because you can have, as you can see here, multiple offices with multiple users in them. You can have a remote workforce, as many as you want, all making and receiving calls from any device, anywhere, anytime. It's a very scalable solution, easy to add extra people quickly or make changes quickly. Now, in the future, this will all look very slightly different because everybody will be on an IP service. They won't be hanging off the PSTN. So in the same way now that the calls get routed through the internet to your cloud service, they will now carry on across the internet to IP phones, desktop or laptop devices or smartphones. So it does sound very complicated. It's all on the cloud. You know, what does that mean? Well, as you can see from this diagram, it's not complicated at all. Now, the nice thing is there's a human element to this. Let's just move on to the next slide. The nice thing is these VoIP services are not that complicated. To us humans, the end users of the system, the phones remain the same. We're looking at pictures here of phones, handsets, dial numbers, buttons and screens, exactly what we have now. The key difference is the VoIP phone system and the options via the phones are greater. There's a lot more functionality, which we're going to look at briefly in this afternoon's session. So on the screen now, you can see some pictures of phones. We've got here some very basic phones with basic displays. We've got bigger phones with extra buttons like a receptionist or switchboard operator might use. Some of these phones have got built-in video features. We have cordless handsets, exactly what you might have at home. And also for meeting or conference rooms, you have spider type devices where you can have huddles of people around the phone for a conference call. We've also got as well the ability with VoIP as well to access the same service via, whether it be a smartphone here. So we've got a picture of an iPhone running the soft phone, the VoIP app, and also via a tablet or laptop device using a browser, we can access our phone through that sort of device as well. And you can see the buttons you're very familiar with, a mute button, a keypad, speaker, put them on hold, hang up. We've got a directory here of people in the business. We've got our most recent calls received and missed and so on. And a lot more functionality can be done this way rather than a traditional analog phone. So even though phones are changing, they're moving to the internet, the experience for us is similar, but better. So going back to our situation with our salesperson moving from Sussex to Aberdeen, how can they keep operating? Well, simply speaking, they can either take their phone with them to Aberdeen and plug it into their internet in their new office or home, or if, as you can see on screen now, they can use a mobile device or their computer to use their phone that way. And obviously these are compatible with headsets and so forth as well. Let's move on to another topic. Now, this is a big area of benefit around a VoIP platform. The current system we have at the moment is that we have one number, one line. So at home, you'll have a phone line with a phone number. If someone wants to call you at home, they will call that number. Now, I'm in that situation personally because I have very little mobile service here in the sticks. So people rely on my home number to contact me. So I've got to look to move my home number into the cloud as well. But if I call from my home phone or if I call from my mobile, then this is what happens. I make an outbound call here from my mobile on screen, you can see. And when the recipient, the person I'm calling, they see my mobile number. So that's how things operate at the moment. Now, many businesses, small businesses especially, advertise their mobile number as their main business number because when you start off on your own, that's the convenient thing to do. Our advice is stop doing that. When we advertise our mobile number, that's not great for us, especially long term. I mean, just think about the simplicity of what happens when you want to take some time off, or you unfortunately fall sick, or you need some downtime for something important. Well, unfortunately, if you start giving out your mobile number, especially via your website, then you're going to have to be on call 24/7, and people expect that. So when you use a VoIP system to make a call from your mobile, well, something different happens. Let me just move to the next slide. You'll see here, we're running our VoIP app on our phone on the left-hand side here. Okay, and I'm calling out to the same person on their mobile. But instead of my mobile number appearing, instead, my landline number is appearing instead, even though I'm calling from a mobile device. So it's the VoIP system that's presenting that landline number, or let's call it business number, because we're going to have to stop calling them landline numbers soon. All that terminology is going to have to change and catch up with the changes that are coming soon. So what are the benefits of presenting your business number when you make outbound calls? Well, it means, like, well, we just mentioned a moment ago how if you present your mobile number, then you get a situation where people can call you back personally at any time. That could be very late. I had a horrible experience once, some customer who for some reason decided to call me at 2:30 a.m. Clearly he was drunk, and yeah, it wasn't a great experience. But the problem was they had my mobile number. Now, that was a long time ago now, and things have moved on. But landline or business numbers or branch numbers, well, the beauty of those is that you can wrap around those operating hours. So you can have it set so that, you know, if anyone calls back on that number, then obviously 9 till 5 or 8 till 6, whatever your business hours are, you know, that call will get answered by your system and routed to you. But outside of those hours, well, you can decide what happens. We'll look at that in a moment. But the benefit is it protects you, your mental well-being. It protects your family life as well, and others too in your organization. Now, the other benefits of having a business number like this rather than a mobile number is that if you do have multiple people on using your phone system, well, then those employees can be more productive and stay on the go connected with that one business number that you've got, whether they're in the office, whether they're working from home. I'm working at home right now, whether they're on the road or working internationally. When they make a call out of the system, then that one number is presented. And that works across continents using your smartphone, your laptop, whatever it might be. You can make calls as your business number. And if you're receiving calls too, or need to receive a call, you'll never miss out on that call or a meeting, even when you're on the go. Now, each person in your business, if you have more than one person, gets the choice of a desk phone, a cordless phone, or can opt to use the mobile app or a tablet or so forth, or an app on their Windows or Mac computer. Lots of options, basically meaning that your staff can stay connected to the phones wherever they are, whenever you need them to. Now, let's just move to our next slide. A slight variation here. Now, some businesses will want more than one number. And we've got an example here on screen here where we've got here two numbers here. We've got a local number based in Uckfield, and we've also got a non-geographic number showing on screen. So if you've got numbers already for your business, well, they can be imported into the VoIP platform. So and a reason why you might have multiple numbers, you might have a chain of branches in different areas. So when that situation happens, you can opt to call out from a different number, as you can see here on screen. Now, your default number will be maybe the main office or the primary office, and that can be configured per person. but there is that option to choose a different number from your pool if you're working from a different branch that day. Now, cloud telephony lets you choose a number that you want to use with any geographic area code. And you can have as many of those as you want in different geographic code areas. And that gives really good flexibility, because when you have a number that appears local to your clients or customers, and you've got marketing going on and a website where that landline number or geographic number is showing instead of a mobile number, it helps to build trust in those customers that you're local and you're established as well. Operating off of a mobile is a bit more fly by night, isn't it? It also gives you the flexibility when you've got these numbers that you can route those numbers for those inbound calls that you're going to receive on those numbers. You can either go to your mobile phone or somewhere else. And you can, as we've already mentioned, you can control the timing of those as well. So if you say, well, we're only open Monday to Friday, 8 till 6, for example, then anyone calling one of those geographic or business numbers, the calls will go through to you during those hours. But outside of those hours, well, the call can be programmed to go to voicemail. And that voicemail can be emailed to you, complete with a written transcription of what was said in the recorded message. So if something urgent pops up, you can quickly look at that email and say, customer X is having a major problem. I need to get in touch with them, even though it's outside of your normal working hours. That's your choice. If you do, as a business, offer out-of-hours support, you may have an engineering team or something else, a call center that needs to be available out of hours, perhaps. So you can include in the recorded message the person gets out of hours an option to press a digit, whether it be the star or 1 or something like that. And that then can route the call through to an engineer. So the message might say, if you're having an urgent problem or your system's down, press 1 to access our out of hours engineer. They press 1 and the call is then instantly transferred to the engineer on their mobile without revealing their mobile number. Now, if you go on holiday, you can also choose to route calls to a different destination as well, or a voicemail to say that you are away and please leave me a message. And if this is what floats your boat and you're sitting on the beach and you're scanning through your emails, you can read those transcribed messages rather than having to dial and listen in to them. You can see quickly if something's urgent and needs to be dealt with and forward that email with the recorded message and the transcription to someone else to deal with. Now, where you've got multiple numbers, like we're showing on screen here, this can be good for businesses that want to market to different areas using a specific number for that marketing campaign. As we've said, people trust numbers in their own geographic area. Time will tell in the future how that continues, but as it stands at the moment, that is the case. You can run reports on the inbound calls that have come into that number for that area to help measure the return on investment and the success of your marketing with that number in that area. And if you've got multiples, well, you can run reports against them all individually to compare. Now, it is good to have multiple alternate numbers, especially if you're operating online ad campaigns, for instance, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. Because again, you can report on the number of calls being generated by those individual campaigns to those individual numbers. Let's look at another benefit of the VoIP platform over a single line solution. And this is around something called auto attendant. Now, we've mentioned a few times already about routing calls. So the auto attendant is a feature that helps your customers when they call in, helps them choose what department do I need to speak to. And it enables them to get straight through to the personal team that they require. Now, if you've got someone who sits on the phone at the moment directing calls, this can really help streamline their responsibilities and day-to-day activities. The auto attendant automatically handles calls to your main company number or any other numbers that you've got. You can filter and manage the call flow, ensuring all incoming calls are answered promptly or routed correctly so that your business can provide better customer service. When you give great customer service, your customers rave about you, they review you, and that leads to more business, doesn't it? And in turn, more profit. Now, the auto attendant feature, for example, would welcome the caller with a custom company greeting. Now, you can record those yourself or you can get them professionally produced. But for instance, you could have it announce the different extensions that maybe someone would want to dial to reach someone internally as a very simple level. You could get the system, if they pressed 1, for instance, for sales, to forward any calls where they press 1 to a group of phones that is your sales team. And that could be something called a hunt group or a ring group. You could even forward the calls to an outside number. So it could just be going straight to your mobile, for example, or another organization that you outsource to. Or it could go to a voicemail. That outside line can be any number, anywhere in the world. You can customize different greetings for out of hours as well. So you may have an out of hours message that plays after 6 p.m., for example, and a different message that plays in hours. You may have a different recorded message for holiday periods, or if you're closing for a period for training and so on. You can have advanced rules set up in the system. So if you get a call from a particular supplier or customer, or even one of your VIP customers, then you can have a special rule that identifies their incoming number and routes the call directly to the correct person, rather than going through the usual route that you may have chosen. You can also create advanced rules in here for specific numbers. We talked about using certain numbers for marketing. So you could have specific messages highlighting special promotions for that number or that region to those particular potential customers. So the caller hears a related greeting message based on what they're calling for. So we can see on screen here, very simply, how a workflow would work. We've got here that the call comes in to the platform, and the recorded message says, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And then in here, we can program what happens when the user presses 1 or when they press 2. In this case, if they press 1, it sends to a particular extension, which is 1002. We can have the system play a sound or put the call into a queue down here. So if you've got a team of people that are taking calls, and often there's more calls than people necessarily, you can queue those calls up rather than the caller getting engaged tone or a voicemail. And on the right here, we've got a number of example options that potentially you could use as settings for your auto attendant. Basically, it gives your business a really professional look and appearance when people, especially customers, call into your business. Now, like any cloud-based system, it wouldn't be complete without something called integration. So most VoIP platforms, our platform as well, CallSwitch, integrates, for instance, at a very basic level with your browser on your computer. And this really helps with your day-to-day activities. A click to dial feature is presented with an extension in Chrome or Edge, Firefox, Safari, whatever you're using. And that basically means when you're on a website of whether it be a supplier's website, a directory of numbers, whatever it might be, you can click on a phone number which is recognized. The system will automatically dial that number either through your computer or through your associated desk handset. That improves speed, productivity, and also accuracy. If you have fat fingers like me and you're dialing by hand, then quite often I'll dial a wrong number. The click to dial saves me that pain. But it goes further. It also integrates with Outlook. So if you have a contact list in Outlook, whether that be your own contact list or shared contact list using Microsoft 365, the plugin will enable you and your team to just hit the phone number of that particular contact, and the system will dial them straight away for you, saving time and improving accuracy. But the integration goes further. We can also integrate with popular CRMs. So if you're using a customer relationship management tool such as Salesforce or HubSpot, Zoho, Pipedrive, probably the bigger ones that we know in this country, again, the integration allows a lot to happen. So for example, if one of your customers called in from company X, the system would see that call coming in, look up that client's record in your CRM, push the record onto your screen and give you the option to answer the call. So straight away, you've got in front of you all the information you need to know about that caller before you've even answered the phone from them. That call can be then recorded and logged against that company record or contact record in your CRM. And when I talk about the word recorded, I'm not just talking about a date stamp. I'm also talking about the actual call recording as well. So that comes standard out of the box with most VoIP platforms, but you can enhance that as well with optional artificial intelligence powered call analytics, where what was said in the conversation is analyzed by the AI, which then helps you to improve service and performance from your teams, making sure your staff are saying the right things, given the right messaging, and also learning what customers say regularly. If you don't have a CRM that's on this list, well, there's also the option with our call switch platform for something called webhooks. And there's also an open API to connect to other tools you might use. Let's move to our next slide. There's lots going on, isn't there, obviously, with a VoIP phone system. And sometimes you want to take it a step further. So if you are looking after teams of people that are taking calls, you might want to look at further analytics around call data that's going on. You can create easy to set up wallboards. These are live call data that what's going on in your system. It can be configured to show how your teams are operating, for example. Could be a support team, sales team, customer service team. This is all out of the box. A full range of statistics is available, including things like average wait time. Are my customers waiting too long for the phone to be answered? How many calls are being answered? How many calls are being abandoned in the queues? So these KPIs, these key performance indicators, are available to you in real time to help you to tailor and produce a high quality service for your customers. It's also really helpful to track the performance of your team as well. And these wallboards can be looked at remotely. You don't have to be in the office with a big screen on the wall. You can look at these from your smartphone. Now, the reporting goes much further than that as well. All of the calls and all of the data that's going on around your calls is being logged within the system. And you can get some real insights about what's going on with calls, historical calls, through the system. So businesses with IP phone systems can leverage that data on calls that are being made and received and investigate trends around their customers and around their teams. So, for example, you could access data around how long a customer's staying on the phone. What's the average amount of time that they're taking to do that? What times a day are producing the best engagement, for example, as well. So you can search for this sort of data in here, and you can bring that up over a period of time. And you'll notice also on the search results here, you'll see on screen, I'm highlighting here next to these calls, are download buttons and play buttons. You can download the call recording or play the call recording back live on the reporting screen. So there's a bit of a marathon and fire hose of features and benefits of a VoIP phone system there. Let me just move to my final slide. Here we go. We've discussed a lot here in that short lunch and learn session, but really there's quite a lot there that we can all sort of take in and digest around how are we operating with our business and how we talk to our customers and our suppliers. We've discussed things like using a single number or a single extension and then scaling up to hundreds or thousands of VoIP users on our platform. So it gives us a bit of food for thought how scalable a VoIP system can be. Now, your customers, I'm sure, when they buy from you, they like easy to use products and easy to use services. And that's great. But they also probably want to feel like they can reach out to you as well and talk to you when they've got a problem. Perhaps they may have some concern, or maybe they need some advice. So give some thought to how you present your business from that tactile point of view. It's very important for people to feel that way, that they can contact you easily. Now, if you're already using our VoIP solution, which is Call Switch, and we mentioned a feature today that you're not using, then get in touch because we can help you implement that. Like I said, out of the box, there's a lot of functionality that you wouldn't have to pay any extra for. And also look out in the next couple of months for some exciting news that's coming about the Call Switch platform. If you're not using Call Switch, you're either using another VoIP service or you're still using an analog or ISDN phone system and you'd like a 30-day free trial, well, we can set one up really quickly for you. So on the screen there, you can see a QR code. Give that a scan with your smartphone, or better still, pick up the phone and talk to us. And so we can make sure that if we set a trial up for you for free for 30 days, it's set up in a way that you can get the very best out of that solution. I'm just going to stop my screen share. Here we go. So thank you very much for joining. Next month, we're going to be talking about a bit more IT topics again. We'll be talking about how we should be taking action to protect all of the different accounts that we personally and professionally have and use on a day-to-day basis, whether that be social media, our email, our Google or Apple accounts. We're going to be talking about why it's important to protect them, but also more importantly, I'm going to show you how as well. So we look forward to seeing you in September. The recording for today's webinar will go live on YouTube in the next few days. So if you need to rewatch anything or want to share it with friends or colleagues, then please feel free to do so. Thank you very much for joining, and we look forward to seeing you another time. Take care.